All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 452 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. I hope you're having a good and fantastic Tuesday. Hopefully, everything is going well. We're going to talk about the fan base of Georgia Southern, and I'm a big part of that fan base, and I love being a part of that fan base. I love what this the makeup of this fan base and the team in general, good, bad, or indifferent. I've been rolling with this team for a very long time, and we've been going through a crossroads with the new coach, new staff, and pretty much a new design and philosophy of this team. And there's a lot of talk going on within the fan base about this team, and I want to discuss that in this episode and pretty much give my thoughts about all of that. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. If you want to support the show, all the links are down in the description. And whether it be through monetary or just subscribing to other avenues to get the access to this content. Either way, I really appreciate it. It just goes a long way because we're growing strong. On YouTube, we're moving. The numbers are looking good on the downloads and subscriptions on the podcast side. And a lot of other things is going to be coming down the road. I think I'm going to go another avenue with just the content of this channel or this podcast. So just stay tuned for that. I have that in the works as well. So let's just go ahead and get into this. The fan base has every right. They have every right to feel the way they feel. They have every right to be upset. And even in some cases, they have every right to be happy. They have every right to feel however they feel. And sometimes for me, I'll be the first one to admit it, it gets frustrating sometimes because I see what's going on with this team. I see it. And I know I've talked to some people that are close to the program, and they see the vision as well. And they understand what the pros and cons of this team is. You have to understand this team consists of almost 90 something players. And it's so many different moving pieces within the abilities of those players. And you see what's on the field. And don't get me wrong, I think we have a lot of good things on the field, but there's some things that make you scratch your head and frustrate you. And I totally get it. But when you look at the vision of this team and where they're going and what they're doing, it is definitely on the right track. What makes it frustrating in some instances, and I don't like to show it because I don't want to be like the angry guy, but what makes me upset is the way we lose these games. Yeah, I know we're 3-3. I mean, it could be much, much worse, but the last few games that we lost was like very, very, it was very upsetting. And like I said, I don't want to be the angry guy. I don't want to be the one that's actually, rah ranting all the time, because I try to look at both sides of everything that goes on, because there's always another side of whatever vision that we have of anything, or another outlook on anything that happens. And I see the turnovers, I see the missed tackles, but then again, I turn around and I see the fight of this team is continuously putting up points to be competitive, because these games could be easily blowouts if we're not able to execute on offense. Now, defensively, I get it. I do. Don't get me wrong. I get it. The quarterback play, I get it. I'm not sitting here trying to, be a apologist for it, because I don't like it. I don't like the interceptions. I've been on record, at least on 2 occasions, that I'm not against putting Van Treese on the bench. I'm not. It's just sometimes, you understand where this team is headed. You understand where this team is going, and you understand that you need a leader with veteran presence. But when that veteran presence is one of the reasons why you're falling short, sometimes you scratch your head and be like, you know what? I'm not against this. You know what I mean? And like I said, if the fan base feel like that, or if you have some people in the fan base feel like that, they have every right to feel that way. Now, earlier in the season, I wasn't a fan of it, because some people were saying, move Van Treese after one game, and some people was asking for Cam Ransom to come back, and it was asking like some real crazy things back then. I think, well, to me, I felt like that was too early. It's too early to ask for stuff like that. But when I look at what I see now, and I think the Georgia State game was the game because you can't lose to your rival. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Those type of, I don't know how Jared Benko is how he feels about stuff like that. And I get it; it's still early. You have a coach that's been on the job for 10 months, but it's a results based, job. It's an entertainment and performance business. And when you have these situations where you're going down to your rivals, sometimes you look at things in a different way. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Jared Benko is going to, move away from Coach Clay Helton anytime soon. You guys got to understand, this guy's been on the job for 11 months now. And 3 of those months he technically wasn't even on the job. He was just here for the first 3 months. So he actually been a coach for Georgia Southern for 8 months. And the turnaround that he's done in those 8 months are actually really, really good. Real good. Because you're talking about a team who was a totally different build of a team running a run first, spread option team to an air raid team that's actually very potent. You have to understand, Kyle Van Treese is still one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country when it comes to yards. I think he's almost at 2,000 yards already in 6 games. I mean, that's like insane. I mean, he's probably like on pace. Honestly, if he can tone down the turnovers and be he doesn't need to have to be that efficient, but if he's a little bit more efficient, you're probably looking at a quarterback that probably could get 5,000 yards at the end of the season. And I'm not joking when I say that. Like, you already had 2006 games. You have what we got, like 6 games to go. If he picks it up and he actually starts getting a real good rhythm, you're probably looking at 4,500 to 5,000 yards. And I mean, that's like insane. So it can be done, and I don't know if it will be, but when you look at the turnover from what we had last year to now, I see it. So in another sense, the Georgia Southern fan base has every right to be happy. Even at 3-3, we went 3-9 last year. We still have the potential to go to a bowl game. It's a pretty good turnaround considering that everything has changed over from one philosophy to the next. And I give kudos to the coaching staff because this could have been a year where we laid down and we could have done nothing this entire time. And to be quite honest, if that was the case, look, to be honest, if that was the case, I probably wouldn't even be complaining as much as I have, even though, like I said, I try to look at both sides of everything. I probably would sit here and be like, look, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and just continue to see what we have on the field for next year. But what makes me upset the most is the fact that we're losing the games the way we're losing. That Coastal game, I firmly believe we've done everything in our power outside of getting a touchdown on that last drive of winning that game. I think if we did have a touchdown on that drive, I think it would have been a little bit easier to manage to win that game. But when they know all they needed was a touchdown to win, Coastal went down with a little bit more motivation to get that touchdown. And that run by C.J. Beasley, I still can't get over that. That was a phenomenal run. I can't lie. But at the same time, we did what we were supposed to do. What more could you ask for? You went downfield, you scored, and you relied on your defense to hold the line, which it's another side of the game. That's what you're supposed to do. But it's frustrating when you can't do that. So once again, Georgia Southern fan base has every right to be upset about that. Even though that Georgia Southern, the football team, did what they were supposed to do. They went down the field and scored. No, they didn't get a touchdown, but they did take the lead. I mean, what more could you ask for? Now, the flip side of that, when we played against Nebraska, we went down there and scored. We scored that touchdown to keep that game favorable for us. So that's another reason why the Georgia Southern fan base have every right to be upset, because you've seen it before. You've seen it happen before. So that is the type of things that makes it really frustrating. It really does. Now, when you look at the Georgia State game, and hell, you can go back and look at the Ball State game or you look at UAB, they were able to run the ball pretty well. We did better with Ball State, but all three of those games they was able to run the ball, and that's something that needs to be cleaned up, and that's another thing that makes it frustrating. But at the same time, when you look at these other games outside of the UAB game, we're still able to move the ball. Every game that we played was able to move the ball very well, even with the turnovers and the other issues of us not able to execute on certain situations. Some of these incompletions, some of these head scratching throws, and even like I say, even the interceptions that Kyle Vantrease threw, we were still able to be in a one score game with Georgia State. So what does that say about this team? I think the defense, all in all, Coach Harris is only working with what he has. I mean, I think I just saw a press conference with Justin Birdsong, which, I don't like to call out kids too much, because, I just don't. But when you have things like Kyle Vantrease doing what he's doing, the interceptions, you hate to see that. You want that cleaned up. Justin Birdsong, I love the kid, but he's been having a tough time this year, and I really feel bad for him because he's one of the veterans on the team. But when you see some of the things that he's been doing, or the things that he's been trying to do, is kind of disheartening, because you would think that a kid that done so well throughout his career, he's having a tough time, and I hope he is able to turn that around. I understand where some people say that they get upset about stuff like that, but it's very hard, because at the end of the day, these are kids, young men, and they are really, trying their best to perform at the highest level possible. But when you see these type of things that's going on within, the Georgia State game, and we're still 8 points down, it just goes to show you that Coach Will Harris, he has a lot of work to do. And I'm not, like I said, the Georgia Southern fan base have every right to be upset at anybody who they want to. But you also have to understand that you're dealing with a team that's learning a new system. You're dealing with some players that are trying to learn as they go. This is only year one. We're getting guys in here that's going to be able to fulfill and work with this new scheme. I've seen the list of not transfers. I've seen the list of prospects and recruits that have already committed. We're looking pretty good right now. The newest recruit, Aiden Hall, looks really nice. If you haven't looked him up, look him up on Twitter. It's just, at the end of the day, the fan base has every right to be upset. They're upset to be happy. They're upset. They have every right to be optimistic, because the future is very bright for Georgia Southern. And I'm not going to sit here and point the finger at somebody for feeling some type of way, because the product is not up to par to their standards. But at the same time, I want people to understand that this team is actually on the right path. It really is. If you actually see what's going on here, and you have to understand that it is a process where you have coaches trying to use players in a new scheme that some of these guys never dealt with before. You have kids that are in a situation that they're learning something new on the fly. You basically have a lot of guys, for the most part, even guys that are 6, 7 a year. And I hate to see, speaking of 7 years, Todd Bradley Glenn, I hate to see him go down once again. But you got guys who are here 4, 5, 6, 7 years on defense that are literally playing like freshmen all over again, because this is a new scheme. And even with all of that, I'm thankful that we have a team or an offense that can keep us in games. And that could go a long way going forward. We got James Madison next, and I'm going to talk about James Madison, later on in the week. But I think we could get this team. I think we could beat anybody in the Sun Belt. Looking at the way that we play, I think we could beat anybody in the Sun Belt. And I'm here for that, and I think we'll be able to shock some people. I think we'll be able to shock a lot of people. The main thing is, really, I'm going to be honest, it's not even on the defense. The main thing is we take care of the football. I don't think nobody can outshoot us. I think nobody can beat us in a shootout. If we can take care of the football. Hell, look, We took care of the football, and a Power 5 team in Nebraska couldn't hang with us. They were close, but they couldn't hang with us. A Power 5 team. So if we hold on to the football and we take care of the football, there's nobody in the Sun Belt can hang with us. I firmly believe that. So people who feel that way, they have every right to feel that way as well. Y'all understand, we all have every right to feel the way we feel about this team because we have a level of standards of this organization or this program, and people have every right to be upset because we have a level of expectations for this program. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say, and I hope you guys get where I'm coming from, because this team is going to continue to get better. You know, you see the shortcomings. It's not the coaching staff. I can rest assured that I firmly believe it's not the coaching staff. And I'm not saying it's necessarily the players, but they're learning something new on the fly. So it's not going to be easy for them. But at the same time, even with all this going, we're still competitive in pretty much every game we played. I think the only game we weren't competitive in was UAB because we just weren't able to tackle. And I don't know if that's going to get better for the rest of the season, but one thing I do want to get better is Cal Van Treese to hold on to the ball and be more careful with the ball. Because if we do that, no matter what the defense do, if we hold on to the ball, and I'll say this again, I'm going to get out of here. If we hold on to the ball, nobody's beating us. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video side of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. I am on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Go over there and subscribe. Give me a 5-star rating on the Apple Podcast Avenue. Also, be on the lookout. I'm going to have another outlet of media on the way. I'm going to probably work on that once I get done with this episode because I want to expand. I want to expand even more from YouTube and Rumble. Right now we're on 7 platforms, possibly even more because there's other outlets that show this podcast that I don't even know about. I could be found on Twitter at VFBaller, and you can talk to me about things that I don't have a chance to talk about on the show. Give me your ideas and any information you want to give that you feel that's worth talking about. I also have a Discord. The links of all that is down in the description. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.